Spring! We all love spring. But do we know when it really starts? Do you know there are at least 3 ways to define spring? First of all, many people think spring is the months of March, April, and May. This concept began in 1780 when an international organization for meteorology defined the seasons as groupings of 3 whole months of the Gregorian Calendar. Ever since then, professional meteorologists have used this definition, which makes spring start on March 1st in the Northern Hemisphere. However, astronomers hold a different view. They say the equinox in March marks the beginning of spring. That happens to match the Persian definition of spring, and that's why Persian New Year starts with the spring equinox. You may be surprised that ancient Chinese discovered the spring equinox thousands of years ago. They just didn't see it as the onset of spring. Instead, they regarded it as the midpoint of spring, and they were not alone. In medieval Europe, the equinox in March was also considered the midpoint of spring. The old definition is actually more scientific than you may think. It's based on the concept that the summer solstice, the day that gets the longest sunlight of the year, should be the peak of summer. And if a season is about 12 weeks long, the beginning of summer should be about 6 weeks ahead of the summer solstice. That's in early May. As a matter of fact, May was a summer month in William Shakespeare's time. Remember the first 4 lines of his Sonnet 18? Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaves have all too short a date. See, if May is a summer month, that makes February a spring month. No wonder Carnival falls in February most of the time, and so does Chinese Lunar New Year. That's why Lunar New Year is called the Spring Festival in Chinese. Believe it or not, many Chinese Americans, including myself, didn't even know that. We grew up westernized, so we only knew the modern definitions of the 4 seasons in the West. We might have been confused by whether spring should start on March 1st or March 20th. But we never thought spring could start in February. Some people may argue that February is too cold to be spring. That's true because there is something called thermal lag. It's like boiling a pot of water. It takes time to warm up or cool down. No wonder modern scientists define the 4 seasons based on temperatures and how people feel about the weather. That's a human-centric approach, as opposed to the nature-centric view in ancient China and medieval Europe. Now we understand there are different definitions of spring, just as there are different opinions on everything else. Learning about various points of view always broadens our horizons. That's the beauty of our multicultural society.